Web Development 101, Lesson 5, Part 3. This is actually the 4th video. This is a very long lesson, but it's a very cool one, and it's going to make us be able to make really cool web pages, so I'm excited. We're going to talk about background gradients. So besides setting the background to a single color or an image, you can also have background gradients where it has like fades into colors. So think of like these, where you can fade from one color to the other. And it generates a gradient between 2 or more colors. So we're going to use linear gradient, and then the value is going to be the colors that we want. So it'll be the linear gradient value with background. So background, linear / gradient, and then you have a start color and an end color. You can have more than 2. You can have it make it gradient between multiple colors. You can do background color just like any other color property. So you can give it a name, you can use an RGB, or you can use a hexadecimal value. So remember, you can hop over to our super fun webpage that we have somewhere. I don't know where mine is. It's linked somewhere in one of these to get to it, or you can just look up HTML color names or RGB color names or picker or hex color picker. Your choice. You're going to get these options that pop up here. So you could go find a very specific color that you wanted to make a gradient, which is cool, and I'm going to do that. So here's some examples of ones that we can create. So this one is each of these is going between 2 colors. So the color on the top and the bottom. So this is just with 2 within a divide. Groovy, right? So our first challenge is going to be to create a sunrise. So we're going to create a divide container that's at least 100 pixels wide and tall. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger than that. And then add a background gradient with 2 colors to simulate the sky during a sunrise. I don't know. I think the sunrise looks way cooler than those colors that they chose, and I know it's going to check my code though, so I'm going to use what they have. So if we look up here how this works, div style equals. So we're going to go up here. We need to make the divide to begin with. So div, and div. Just a blank container. Just a blank container. And in the head, we need to put in that style tag, because if we don't have the style tag, we have nowhere to style our work. Oh, stop it. Okay. Now, we are going to style this divide. And again, we start with that keyword here. So, background. I'm not doing it inline. They did it inline. I'm not. Background. Then linear gradient. And then if you notice, they're in quotes, or they're not in quotes. They're separated. If you're using hex, they're going to be separated by a comma within there. Okay? That might not work up here. Let's see how it looks. And I think it's probably going to get mad at me for doing it the way I'm doing it, but I'm doing it anyway. I bet it wants it in here. Well, let's see. FD8, D2F, FEE 757. Yeah, it's going to want them in quotes. Or it's just not going to let me do it here how I want to do it. Oh, I didn't give it a height and width. So that's probably part of the problem. Wow. No. I'm going to take those quotes out because I think that I put those in there because I thought it wasn't working, but I didn't have a size in there. So that might be the problem. That was the problem. I shouldn't second guess myself. There's my sunrise. Oh, it's so beautiful. All right. If you want to change it to a different color, you can. If you want to mess with the colors, that's fine. I'm going to reset this back to its original, and here we go. So we're going to change the orientation. So by default, the colors will transition from top to bottom, but you can change which color is first, or the color, sorry, you can change which way it goes. So top to bottom, left to right, bottom to top, or left to right. So there's an extra value you can put in there, and it goes in front of the color code. So you start with the word to, and then you say, so to bottom, to right, to top, to left. So if we did that up here, I shouldn't have undone what I did. Then we could have seen this, but you can see an example of it right here. So changing the way the gradient works. You can also add more colors by specifying them at the end, separated by columns or by commas. So here's some gradients that they have changed the orientation of and then added more values to. So we're going to make a rainbow. It's going to be so much fun, I promise. So let's go ahead and get our divide started. And I'm going to style it up here because I don't want to do it in line because I don't like it. Now we're going to do exactly what we did before. So we're going to start with that style and background. Background. Linear, gradient. Why does that look weird? Oh, because I did that. It still looks weird. All right, linear gradient, and then we want just our color values. So I'm just going to copy these. I'm not typing them in. Not because I'm lazy, because I'm smart. Comma. It's mad at me. It does not like what I'm doing here. Why are you mad at me? I didn't spell it wrong. All right, whatever. We'll see what happens when I run it. If you can't tell, I'm making this video on a Friday. Fridays are just not my day. Well, this Friday isn't. It's Friday, which makes me happy. However, I'm very tired. Green and blue and what's supposed to be purple but doesn't look like purple to my brain. All right. I didn't make oh, that's why. Holy Lord. All right. I'm going to have to fix that. All right, we're going to go make the divide and then background, colon, linear gradient. Put that in there. And I have not set a height and width, so I'm going to do like 200 pixels and then a width of 100% of the page. Oh, that's super gorgeous. Now notice up here what they did was change the direction it was going to make the rainbow go from left to right. So we need to mess with that too. And then I'm going to say, I don't think that's right. I need 2 right. Because my brain doesn't work. There we go. 2 right. So starting here, going to the right. So think about the direction you're going to. To the right, to the top, to the bottom. Okay, one more thing before our project. We're going to talk about overflow. So sometimes the content is too large to fit in its container. So there's a couple things that we can do to handle this issue using overflow, which is the property that we're going to use. And we can use it to add scroll bars to the container, to let the content flow outside the container, or to cut it off if it doesn't fit. Usually, especially if it's text, you're going to be adding a scroll bar so that you can continue scrolling through that piece of content. So by default, if the content doesn't fit inside a container, the web browser lets the content continue outside of the container box. Ew. Ew. The same behavior occurs when we set the CSS overflow to visible. So by default, this is it. It's so gross. Look. Ugh. It just keeps going and going. This is the container though, this blue thing and this teal thing. And that is gross because it goes into the white space. I hate it. Ugh. Ugh. We need to fix that. So we don't want that to happen. So this is overflow set to visible. This one, the default is visible. So even though this one doesn't have visible set, that's the default anyway. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I can't even look at that. I'm going to do it right here because it's driving me nuts. If I change this one, just watch, to scroll. Oh, okay. Now I don't have to have a little freak out about this. Look at, I have a scroll bar now. Isn't that great? Just that one word fixes that and puts a scroll bar in. Web browsers are amazing. They can do a lot of cool stuff. So using that scroll puts in that scroll bar. Depending on the operating system though, if you're in Linux sometimes and sometimes on a Mac, that scroll bar will not, you won't see it. You'll be able to scroll, but you won't see it. So there's some other things that we can do. So both boxes, if we look at scroll bars here, these have scrolls, okay? They both have scrolls in them. The content of the second box fits, but the scroll bar is still shown. So depending again on your operating system, you might not see the scroll bar only when you scroll. Only when you actually put your mouse over it and scroll, which I can't replicate for you. I'm sorry, I can't recreate that on here because I'm on a Windows machine. All right, we're going to make a scrollable map. We're going to use 2 image elements. We're going to wrap the map inside the container element. It's 300 pixels tall by wide. We're going to use overflow to add scroll bars to enable scrolling, and we're going to give the pin, so there's a pin in here somewhere. Where is it? I don't see it. There it is. The pin is going to have the absolute position, so it appears in the center of one of the islands, and the end result should look something like this. So we're going to find something similar to this. I wish you could find me on an address like that. Goodness. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of work. All right, first things first, we need to put this into a divide. I'm actually going to add some text to the top too because I'm funny. And I think it actually is going to, no, it doesn't, but I'm going to add some text to it because I want to be funny today. And I'm going to make it bold. You can find me at this address. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to wrap the images into a divide like it said. I'm going to give it a class, and it's going to be called map because we have a map in it, so that makes the most sense. And then I can style just that class. And I'm going to wrap both the image and the pin inside of this divide. I'm going to give the pin its own class though because we're going to have to do a little bit of styling to get that pin to show up in the middle of the island like we wanted it to. So it needs its own, and I'm just going to call it pin. All right, so that should take care of that. All right, that is all that we need to do down here in our actual body. Everything else is going to take place in the head. So first thing, let's align everything to the center of the page so that text shows up in the center of the page. So I'm going to align my body Oh my goodness. Align, if I could spell, center, okay. And let's, here, I'm gonna do this. What else do we need? The image, we're keeping that as a block. Now let's style our map. Dot map, because we made it a class. And first of all, it told me I needed to do the width at 300 pixels and the height at 300 pixels. Okay, width and height at 300 pixels. And then it told me that I needed to add a scroll bar. So I'm going to say overflow and scroll, which it's doing by default anyway, but now look at that. Beautiful. Now, there is this weird margin around it, and I don't want a margin. So I'm going to, I also need to position the map. I want it to be relative to everything else in the box. That's going to help me with moving my pin around as well. And then let's go ahead and add the margin. There we go. Now this is all nice and centered. Okay, so that's the map. Now, we need to give the pin an absolute position. That's why I had to give this one this position relative, because I want to give the pin a specific location. So I'm going to hop in here and I'm going to say position absolute. Now I'm going to give it that absolute position that I want it to be at. And let's see if I can find one of the islands to put it on. We can mess around and find one that we want. I'm going to say for the top position of the pin to be at 420 pixels. And at the left position to be, oh no, top 200. I'm going to go off the map if I do that. So 200. And now I want to be like, this island is like sweet. I want to be there. And that's at about 420 pixels. Let's see. Boop. Yeah. 430 maybe? No, that's too far. Let's see. Is it? No, that's perfect. All right, 430 pixels. Right in those trees. All right. I think that looks good. We could add some more stuff to it, like a border, but I don't think we really need to do that. I'm going to leave this how it is. What I don't know is why. Oh, because I didn't do text align. There we go. Now my address is in the center. Beautiful. So we can check our code. And yay! All right, I'm going to reset this so I can do this whole thing over again with you live and in person for those of you I will see. Overflow Auto! To solve the issue of scroll bars being displayed all the time, even when they are not needed, we can use the value auto. So both boxes in this have been set to auto. This one doesn't need a scroll bar. So it's not showing up, and this one doesn't need a left scroll or a left to right, so that's not showing up. Yay! Finally, we can hide content or cut it off. So if it overflows, it will just cut off. I don't generally suggest doing that. You usually should be readjusting what you have in for that position. All right, horizontal versus vertical overflow. Some layouts you might want to have content that overflows its container to the right or left. So in that position, you need to tell it something a little bit different. So you need to talk about its overflow X location and its overflow Y location property instead of just saying overflow. Like in this example, it says web comic strip. Add styles to the element with the container class so it takes 100% of the available horizontal space. Make it so that only the comic strip is scrollable, not the entire page. With this change, the title should always be visible. So what we're going to do is set the container width to be 100% of the available space, because that's what they told us to do. And then it wants us to make it scrollable, but not the entire page, so just this container to be scrollable. So I'm going to say overflow X is that what I want? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I want. Let's check our code and see. Oh, yeah, beautiful, yay! And that's the end of this video.